Kaka'ako ke ko'ola. Ku'uba hine kaya ulu o lalo e o lalo o ki kaya kana ulu. I kani mea I ki una o maka una mea aila. Kapili o hueva. Hey mai, hey mai, hey mai. Aloha kako. I'd like to welcome you all to Nānā Kumu, Conversations with Robert Cazimero. And I'd like to first give thanks to the Kamehameha School's Kaya Ulu for providing funding for this project. Kaya Ulu supports projects like ours to offer our lahui and the larger community experience where we can engage in activities that strengthen connections to our culture, history, aina, olelo, and Kaya Ulu. May we also thank Pa'i Foundation for use of this amazing facility, its resources, and its support over the many years to help us preserve and perpetuate Native Hawaiian arts and cultural traditions for future generations. And we would also like to honor the board members and beneficiaries of Wahea Foundation. And Wahea Foundation is a nonprofit 501c3 organization dedicated to preserving and protecting the fundamental aspects of Hawaiian culture. It teaches, supports, and honors the ancestral wisdom of Hawaii as inspired by the mastery, genius, and artistry of Robert Uluwehi Cazimero. Oh. But thank you again for making the time to come out here. We're gonna have a wonderful 2 hours of discussion, knowledge, ike, as well as just enjoying your time together.
Aloha, everybody. I have to say that I have been looking forward to this since I've canceled it so many times. I'd like to say, first of all, if you haven't already gotten your shingle shots, please get it, because I've been through it and you don't want to go through it. It's the worst thing to have. Well, there could be worser things, but don't do it. So I say that too because I have this, what looks like a beauty spot, but it's not beautiful at all. It's just part of the shingle thing, but it's going away because I'm turning a corner ever so slowly, but still we're turning. So now with that said, aloha and welcome to my talk story today. I was often told when we were kids that, no, let me take that back. I grew up in a Hawaiian home, and so there were things that we took for granted as far as being Hawaiian was concerned, because we thought everybody was the same way. Playing music especially happened to be very much a part of our family. Musicians, singers, dancers, blah, 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 and stuff like that. Not so much language, and not so much being proud of being Hawaiian when we were younger. It was more important to meld into the general understanding and feelings of being in a Western world so that we could, our parents' hope was that we would be able to move forward in our lives. It wasn't until much later that being Hawaiian became important for me. And in so doing, helped to enhance my ability to become the Robert Cazimero that I am today. And so I started, I guess, besides being in a home in Kalihi with music and a Hawaiian family, the most Hawaiian thing to happen to me after that would have been going to Kamehameha schools. While I was at Kamehameha, I took my very first, well, I don't know if I took a class or it just sort of like happened where we became part of a singing group in school called the Concert Glee Club. And we had a teacher for hula, and that was Nona Beamer. Nona Beamer was my first teacher of hula, and it was, in my own opinion, a kind of like ho'ailona an omen of what was to come, because later on I would become very dear friends with her, members of her family, and then that would also involve music as well as dance. Okay, so we're at Kamehameha, and it's my senior year, and I won't say the year. Some of you already know. But so Nona decided that we should have this project. And the project was that each of us in the class had to choose a hakumele, a composer of Hawaiian music, and that we choose them by the fact that we like their music. And so if we could get an opportunity to interview them, that's what she wanted us to do, find out something about them. If we could get them to come to the class, that would be like extra credit and practically an A to get them to come. I had originally I chose Kuili, because at that time I was a big fan of his song, I'll Remember You. And I just thought it was the cat's meow. I never talked to Kui. I talked to somebody else in his family and I kind of made a report, and obviously then I wasn't able to invite him to come and talk to the class. My classmate in that particular Hawaiian appreciation class was a girl named Puna Kalama. Now Puna's mother was a Kumu Hula, and her name was Auntie Nānā Lani Kalama. Auntie Nānā was the first cousin of the lady that eventually would become our kumu, Maiki Ayu Lake. So Puna invited her aunt to come and talk to all of us in her class. She chose Maiki Ayu Lake, who I didn't know her at the time, to be the person that she was going to interview. And then Maiki came to our class. So although I didn't know who she was, I knew of her style, because there were girls in school, part of us being the Hawaiian ensemble with Nona. There were girls who danced for Maiki, and I knew that just by watching, I liked her style. I didn't know very much, so that's about the only style I saw, to tell you the truth, other than my cousins dancing, and they were shitty. So I didn't want to learn from any of them, because it was just, kind of touristy, kind of like, which is okay. It's okay. It's not what I wanted. So I'm sitting in this class, and Maiki walks through the door, and I was immediately taken by her style. Here's the most important thing. While she came to speak about her song Aloha Kauai that she wrote with the help of Kawena Pukui, who was her mentor that lived up in Manoa, and the house up there is called La'i Aloha. Anyway, so she came to talk about it, and as she was finishing, my friend Puna says to her, "Oh, Auntie, Robert here can play the piano for you if you want to sing it or if you want to dance it." So she looked at me and she asked me who I was. And I knew I liked her. I didn't know why, but I knew I liked her. So I was kind of shy. I've never been shy, but I guess I was kind of shy. But I told her who I was, and of course, like how it was I call it the old days, because at that time I was like a teenager. Everybody knew everybody in Hawaii, Your aunties were like the principals of the school or the teachers. Whatever school you went, as long as they were Hawaiian, everybody knew each other. You didn't have to be Hawaiian, because you could be Japanese too. You could be Japanese, you could be Chinese, you could be Haole, you could be Filipino. It didn't matter. All of them were aunties or uncles, and unfortunately, if you did anything wrong, they would call your parents. Mikey knew my parents. After she had finished talking and I got to play for her, I was totally mesmerized by her. And as she was leaving, Puna said, "Come, let's walk my auntie to the car." And I was like, "Sure, let's go." So we're walking, and Puna and she are in front of me, and I'm in the back. And she turns and she says to me, "Someday I thought this was one of the best days of my life. She said, someday you're going to want to learn to dance hula. I'm going to say that again. Someday you're going to want to learn to dance hula. And I'm going to be your teacher. And I thought to myself, I had read in a book a long time ago that if a master asks you to learn from them, then you must go home, pack up your house, and go move in with that teacher. I said, okay. So I go home. I had a little suitcase. I put it out, and I started packing my bag. My mother says to me, and my mother, I don't think anybody here knows my mother. Well, those two do. They do. But my mother was she was a very strong woman. She had very strong convictions and thoughts. She said to me, what are you doing? I said, well, Ma, listen, I have been invited by a master. Mikey, she wasn't like, Mikey, are you? She goes, I know, Mikey, are you? She says, your sisters dance for her. I go, oh, they do? Yeah. I'm going to dance for her too. Oh, you are? Yeah. She asked me, so I have to leave. I'm packing my bag now to go. She's like, oh no. You're going to get licking. You take everything out right now. From that day on, my mother did not like my kumu. She just did not like Mikey because I gave my whole heart to her. Eventually, I make my way to Halau. I'm there for a couple of years. I'm dancing for her. And then I'm also playing music. I promise. This is leading up to the Halau. I promise. I'm playing music, but I'm taking class from Mikey, and we're dancing up at Paradise Park up in Manoa. And now we're meeting different people, and I meet this man named Bill Kaiva, who is an entertainer. He's known as the boy from Laupa Hoi Hoi. He's putting together a group for a show in Hilo. He's wondering if Roland and myself and our friend Samako will play music for him. We say yes. We're going to play music. We're going to do a show. And our two dancers are my sister, Kanoi, and her hula sister, Lehua Ani. Both dance for Maikiayu Lake. So we go take our picture, and there are posters made in Hilo, and it's put up everywhere. And Mikey sees that picture. In the picture are her dancers wearing her costumes in her style, and nobody has told her about it. This is my first lesson in protocol, which is if you're going to do something in hula and you're taking from a kumu who is well known and respected, then what you're supposed to do is ask for permission. Okay. At 18 years old, I didn't know that. Okay, 20. Maybe 21. But so we got into trouble, and we all got kicked out of Halau. My sister got kicked out, I got kicked out, Roland got kicked out. Lehua was sent away to go dance in Las Vegas with the Mahi Beamer show. So when I was dismissed from Halau, I was lost. I was absolutely lost. But I still had my career playing music that was just beginning to start up. So, 1969 was when we did our first album called Guava Jam, was the first one. Peter Moon, who was the leader of our group, decides that he needs to create a show so that we can become known. He starts this thing up at the University of Hawaii called Kanikapila that happens during the month of September, October, around Aloha Week time. It's a cavalcade of stars that is presented by the Sunday Manoa, but it's basically an instrument to let people know who we are. We then use Gabby Pahinui was one of our stars. I mean, anybody who was anybody at the time, luckily said yes about coming to perform. And that's how we met a lot of people. Marlene Tsai, Linda Dela Cruz, Eddie Kamai, Sonny Chillingworth, Danny Kaleikini. we just met everybody. Nina Keli Vahamana. So we do Kanikapila at the university the first year. And I don't know how he did it, but he got Auntie Iolani Luahine, to open the show. The second year we do it, he tells me, and I have been kicked out of Halau. He tells me, I want you to go talk to Mikey Ayu, because I want her to do the kahiko for the second year. I tell him, I cannot go. He says, why? I've been kicked out of Halau. I can't even look at her. I'm so embarrassed. He goes, okay. So he went. He comes back and he tells me, all right, Mikey's coming. She's going to do the show. She's going to do the opening. I said, wow. And she said to tell you and Allah, Allah is Leina Allah Haini Kalama, my hula sister and my pal. You know, we all have pals, right? And you have a real pal. Pick your real pal in your life. That was my Allah. It was me and her. Her husband Sam didn't like it very much, but he had to deal with it because we was just too close. I was like, we were both like little Bo Peep and the lamb at the same time, because we led and followed together. And where Lena Allah Kalama Haini went, Utu Bang Bang went too. And we had ourselves a time. Okay, so Mikey says, I will come and do your show, Peter, but Robert and Allah have to show up at this class. We go, not knowing this is a class for Kumu Hula. We didn't know that. It's her very first class. We are a part of it. In that class, our students that she has had with her, some for over 20 years, some who came from the university, which included Ho'ulu Canberra, Kalena Silva, Sarah Quick, Kaha'i Taplinsky. So I go to this class, and we still don't know what we're doing there, and then eventually we find out it's a class for graduation as Kumu Hula. We graduate as Kumu Hula. I graduate in 1973. I was like 25, 26. And everybody, I knew absolutely nothing. I knew that I could I knew nothing. I could sing a song. Even then, I wasn't the best singer yet. So we graduate, and Mikey used to say things to us like, now that you've graduated, I consider you my peer. And I just could not fathom that. I could never be, she was my hero. She was my goddess. I loved her. If she told me to jump off a building, I would ask her which one. And then I would go, because I just loved her so completely. Anyway, we graduate. I consider you my peers. Take what I've given you, make it better. However, and she looks at me, and she tells me, I need to talk to you. Okay. Sorry, let me take that back. When I graduated in 73, I didn't graduate as a Kumu Hula. I graduated as a Olapa and a Ho'opa'a. And if you don't know what that means, talk to me later, or talk to somebody who knows, because I'm not going to explain it. But so she tells me, you need to, like when doctors have to, people who are going to become doctors, you have to go to the hospital and you have to do internship. Yeah. So she tells me, I want you to intern hula for 1 year. I go, okay, where? She goes, I don't know. You got to find some place. Okay. A job opened up at Kamehameha schools. I taught hula up there for 1 year. Taught the girls. I didn't know how to teach girls. I learned how to teach girls. Not very good. Not like Allah. So then, after the 1 year, then we're going to have another uniki, because now, which we find out at rehearsal the night before, we're all getting our kihei, which is that piece of material that wraps around your shoulder on one side. And for our line, our hula line, we all tie on the left-hand side that goes over our heart. So we graduate that night, and it's a big ceremony. No, it's a big concert that happens at the NBC Concert Hall. And I could really get into it, but we don't have enough time, because then you're going to be here till tomorrow. But we do this concert, and the night before at rehearsal, some things happen. And I decide I don't want it. I don't want to be a Kumu Hula. So I have to leave because Allah and I are going to work. And as we're leaving, I see Auntie Nānā, my classmates, going back to that first time at Kamehameha, Puna's mother. And I say to Auntie Nānā, crying like a fool, just an absolute fool. I'm not coming back. This is it. I don't want this. She goes, you can't tell me. You got to go talk to your kumu. To make a long story short, that's all taken care of. I come back the next night. She tells me, no, you can't quit. You already drank the Kool-Aid. She didn't say that. But you can't do it. You got to stay here. You can do it. Comes to Uniki. All kinds of things happen on that stage. And we become kumu. Then she tells me, all right, now that you've done your internship and you're a kumu, you're done. You don't teach girls anymore. I want you to teach boys. That's how I now become a teacher for only boys in my halau. In 1975, I'm teaching at Kamehameha schools for a summer class. And you see that man over there in the blue with his wife at PE? He was one of the boys in that class. That's Edward Baboos is his nickname, Hano Hano, and his wife PE. And I was teaching their class, myself and my hula brother, Kalena Silva. And I was so frustrated with them because, 16, 17, 18 years old, trying to teach them to sing and stuff like that. I just got so frustrated. So I said, you know what, all you guys stand up, get against that wall. I'm sure he could tell it in his own way. But I just decided that I'm going to teach them a hula, just one verse. So it would be like if I told all of you guys, stand up and go right over there. And you folks have no idea, right? I teach them how to do a hela, and then I'm going to teach them a verse to a song. So I teach them the one verse. And we keep going over and over and over. And as we're going over, I'm going, thank you, sit down, thank you, sit down, thank you, sit down. They don't know what they're being thanked for and sit down. All they know is suddenly they're not a part of this group. And now I'm getting, can I try again? And I'm like, no. This is not a choice thing. I make the decision. Sit down. So going. And from that group, I ended up with about 12 to 15 boys. Were you part of that group, Baboos? Yeah. Yeah, Edward. And they were all so young. They're so young you can smell them. Young skin, young face, young bodies. Everybody is twirling and doing cartwheels on the floor and fighting, of course, And I'm yelling at them. From those 12 boys, I chose 6 boys. And in 1976, I think, or 75, I think it was 75, we went into a competition at Kamehameha Day, which is at the old bandstand at Kapi'olani Park. I tell Mikey, I'm going to enter these 6 boys. She says, come to the halau. We go to the halau. She says, she watches them. She goes, are you sure this is what you want to do? I go, yes, I'm sure this is what I do. Why do you want to do it? I wrote it for Princess Bernice Pauahi Bishop to thank her. Okay, We go and do it. She said, have them come to the halau, make their skirts here. They got to wear tea leaf skirts. They're going to wear long sleeve white shirt and black pants, which was standard for Mikey. We all wore that. She said, they don't have to worry about making leis. I will make sure they have the leis. We get there. She brought the drums for me to use. And she told me I couldn't use the kihei. I just had to wear a long sleeve white shirt with black pants. We did it, and we got disqualified. We came of I think there were 6 groups, and we came in 6th. And her kumu, Mikey's kumu, was Lokalia Montgomery. And Lokalia was one of the judges. So my kumu goes up to her and says, how come my boy didn't win? And Lokalia told her, because he doesn't deserve it. So, and we were destroyed because we thought, the crowd went crazy. Well, here's the truth. When you go into competition, The crowd means shit. The crowd can yell and scream all they want. You know who's important? The judges. For those few minutes, people outside there, they can yell and scream. You can throw your mother and sacrifice her on the lele if you like. They do not care. Okay? It's all up to them. And if they don't like it, there must be a good reason. But at 18, 20 years old, there can be no good reason. The road to Ha'anes is long. But what a great road it is. Not at the time, but eventually. Okay, so we lose. But that was the beginning, that's the beginning of Palau. Still, I didn't know very much about it, but I had these 6 boys. And so we would meet. It's so far back. Babus, did we meet on Sundays back then? Yes. We did? See, good thing you're young because Utu Bang Bang over here can't remember. So we would meet on Sundays, And they would come. And they came faithfully every Sunday for so many years. And I taught them to the best of my abilities with the help of Mikey. And it was a learning process that is still a learning process to this day. I can say that as much as I thought I gave them, they gave back even more. And they helped to make me a better teacher. At the beginning, it was almost like being like the Tsar of Russia. I made all the rules. We're all going to go together. We're all going to come back together. Oh, rehearsals. Oh, Kumu, my mother is here. So can she come inside? Oh, no. No mothers, no fathers, no pets, no children, no girlfriends. Girlfriends was the worst because they would stand outside and they're laughing. So the boys don't want to do anything. That's it. Close the windows, close all the drapes and everything like that. Okay. Tell nobody to come. They cannot come. Oh, my auntie's visiting. I don't give a shit. Auntie will have to go to Zippy's or down to Kenny's and can come back afterwards. They couldn't come. I wouldn't let them come in. At that time, a little while after I started in 75, I brought my dear friend Wayne Chang in, and we became co-partners with Nakamale. Wayne had after I graduated from Mikey, Wayne came back from school. He was going to school somewhere in Michigan, one of those schools, Michigan State or State of Michigan, or how I wish I knew Michigan or whatever. He was going over there. So he comes home and he wants to learn hula, so I go talk to Mikey. He ends up being in the class. And then after he graduates, then he comes and we start working together. And that lasted for quite a few years, actually, for about 5 years altogether. In 1980, Wayne decided to leave Halau. By that time, Wayne had started taking hula from Auntie Kauizurumeister. And so we're teaching the boys now. And at that time, Halau had fluctuated from 6 boys to the next year, we went to 21. When we opened the second year or third year at at Kanikapila that Peter had started at the university that I spoke of earlier. And in that group, I had 21 boys. Babus was part of those 21 boys. And also, Allah started a group of girls because I told her, you have to start because the boys need girls to dance with. And we had some girls at Kamehameha. And around that time, sooner or later, comes people like Pi'i. And our halau, my halau, Nakamale, and Napule, Allah's, we became very closely related because of our friendship, my friendship with Allah. Wayne and Allah and I worked together very closely, and we did with the boys and the girls as well. In 1980, when Wayne decided he was going to leave, it was really hard time. It was hard for the boys, and it was hard for me, but I was left in a position where Wayne said to me, I have to stand up for this, and I have to hold on so I don't fall down. But he said, okay, here's the thing. You need to decide. Are you going to be a friend, or are you going to be a teacher? Because all these years, I've been the teacher, and you've been the friend. When he told me that, I was like, shut up. I've been working really hard. I wasn't. I was having a blast, thinking that I was as young as them. You know, I was 6 years older, but what the hell? So when Wayne left, and the other thing Wayne said to me, he says, if you don't like somebody in halal, if you don't like them, you got to let them go. Because it's not fair to them. They cannot know in that halal that you like these people, but you don't like those two. It's not fair to them. You got to let them go. I took what he said into account, and I changed. And by changing, it helped the halal position, but more than anything, it helped me become a better person. Now, some of you might remember me from the old days. I was a real dick. I had the biggest ego with no reason to have a big ego. Just because I sang a few songs, big deal. But I thought I was important. Teaching halal taught me that I was kind of important, but not that important. And I've said this before, and I will say it again, that I think one of the best things after Wayne left, actually, I have to come back, I'll go forward a few more years. Mikey died in somewhere along between 84 and 86, I think. Mikey passed away. When Mikey was alive, I felt like I was indestructible and that I could do anything I wanted because even if it wasn't good, Mikey was there to back me up. And she took a lot of namu, we say, because of things that I did. You know, why are they wearing those clothes? What is that stuff they're wearing over here? How come they're using those things for lace? Mikey, what are you teaching these people? You know, and so she really got a lot of that. But when she was with me, I felt like it was okay for me to do it because she said, if you're going to do something and you know it's wrong, but you know you're not trying to hurt anybody, then think about it again. And if you want to do it, then do it. So when she told me that, I figured, okay, sky's the limit. And I really pushed the limit. When she died, I felt like I could hear the doors closing on me. And it was a really hard time for me. I think, it was really junk. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to see anybody. It was, I think that was the second time in my life that I really felt what depression was like. But then I had Allah, you know, and Allah helped carry me through a lot. So did Roland, and then so did the halal. So with that said, and with the fact that Wayne was gone, and Allah was moving on with the girls, and I now had to be a teacher, I began to change a little bit more. And the other thing was that suddenly I wanted to hear what students had to say. I wanted to hear, you know, like if we're going to do it this way, what do you guys think? You know, and I actually took the time to listen to what they were saying. And I think that was really, really helpful because in the end, some of the best teachers I've ever had have been my students. And for that, I cannot tell you how grateful I am. I'm going to fast forward a little bit again. In 95, I graduated my first, I think that's right. You know, sorry, dates with Robert Cazimero aren't good. But somewhere in the 90s, I graduated my first Uniki class. 5 boys. 4 of them became Kumu Hula, and they are Manu Boyd, Vito Baker, Carl Vito Baker, Michael Kastapang, Moses Crab. And 1 boy graduated as an Olapa, and that was Kiola Kamahele, who just recently, last month, graduated as a Kumu Hula. Anyway, so when it came time for them to graduate, Mikey had already passed. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my Uniki in the next class because I'll have graduated teachers with me as well. But when I told you already that when I graduated, I had no idea what I was doing, right? So when it came time to graduate them, this is what happened. A hula sister of ours, May Klein, came to talk to myself, Allah, and Vicky Hotakamine. And she said, listen, it's time you guys had a graduation. You need to graduate people. And I was the first one to believe that. And so that's why I started my class. And she was very helpful in making sure that we did things according to how we did things with Mikey. Because when I graduated, we didn't learn anything about exactly what was going on. We just kind of like followed, you know. So when it came time to graduate those boys, it was another turning point and of learning for all of us of how to do it correctly, how to do it in a way that made me feel comfortable for them, and with the understanding that once you graduate, my understanding is that once you graduate people, then they can leave the halal. And with that knowledge, they can then go on to somebody else if they want to learn, like how Wayne did to go with Auntie Kaui, Zudameister. Okay. So now we're getting heavy duty into halal. And I want to mention again that I learned a lot from my students on how to be a teacher. In that graduation class, the first one, the Papa A'ali'i, I made them do a report about Mikey. And so they each individually did, and they had to go and find people to talk to. Manu's report, he went to go talk to Mrs. Pat Bacon, who's the daughter of Mary Kavena Pukui. So Mrs. Bacon knew Mikey. She knew all of Mikey's teachers. And so she was able to give Manu an in-depth interview about learning and being a part of her life. One of the things I learned from that report by Manu Boyd was that Mikey was kind of a rebel when she was young. She enjoyed her young life. And I say this lovingly, she was naughty. And so one of her teachers was Lokalia Montgomery, who decided that the best way to help Mikey was to teach her to dance hula. And it helped her become a much better person. When I read that report, I thought to myself, okay, big ego, grand poobah, utu bang bang, you think you're somebody. Well, maybe I'm not that somebody. And maybe if Mikey can change to become the person that I am in love with and will do anything for, then I can do that too. It didn't happen overnight. But I've been working on it every year since. And it's been interesting. So now, before I go into the next chapter of this, and I don't even know how long I've been talking. How long have I been talking? Half an hour. No, for real? Oh, shoot. I almost said shit. Okay, so we got a bunch of these questions. I know you probably have questions too, but we have some questions. So Steffi, you have them? Huh? Come. I'll give you this microphone and then, everybody, this is my niece, my sister Jean's daughter, Sky. Her name is Stephanie, but her nickname is Sky. So that's Sky. And here.
I'm not usually the one on the mic. Yes, we had about 10 questions that came in during the registration process. So the first one is, it may be hard to name just one, but looking back over your 50 years as a Kumu Hula, what would you say are a few of what achievements are you most proud of?
There's a lot. There are a lot of things to be proud of what I've done. Not so much. Well, that doesn't sound exactly. Well, I am proud. What the hell? What can I say? But recently, I asked the guys in Halal, and I said to them, "What is your passion right now?" You know. And so my children, learning to be a better dancer, deciding where we're going to have dinner, whatever, something like that. And then because this question had been asked of me a few days earlier, and I realized that my passion now, my real passion right now will always be singing and hula. But my real passion is watching what I have taught and thought that nobody paid attention suddenly coming to fruition through my students. So what I've opened up a can of worms, because what I'll say, so like we're in your class 2. This is class 1. Okay, class 1, you're going to teach class 2. I want to go back to my little grass shack. Okay. Class 2, you're going to learn from them. So you guys start to teach, okay? But every one of you teach it the way you think you learned it. Okay, let me say that again. Every one of you think you're teaching the way you learned it. And yes, I may have taught it to you, but it's what you process to make it dance, to make you dance the way I want to see it to them. You now, class 2, are totally confused. Because suddenly, instead of learning from one person, you're learning from 18. Okay. What's interesting for me, what makes my passion even more fun, is to see what they see. And how later on, if I say of all of you, then we'll just take 2, and you 2 teach them. And then I watch how they maneuver that. But no, we learned it like this. No, we learned it like this. Well, I didn't learn it like that. What happens from something like that situation is that I learn more about myself, and I learn more about my teacher. One of the things that another school made us aware of was the fact that when my school dances individually, they dance individually very different. When you put them all together, they look pretty good. How come we all don't dance the same way? And I'm like, I don't know, I can't answer that except that it's an individual, subjective thing on what you remember and how you teach it. And so, but what I've also learned is that as a teacher, and as years progress, and some of you are teachers, so you know this. And when I say teachers, I don't mean just in hula, teachers in life, in whatever it is you do, is that part of living a life is that you change as you go along. I mean, it's just a natural thing. So maybe yesterday, when we were doing our motion to go like, oh, hey, ah, vale, oi, 15 years later, it's changed to, oh, hey, ah, vale. That's just the way the teacher feels at the time. So A over there is going to teach you this one, while B is going to teach you this. And then later on, when you go and teach, C is going to teach it like that. But I find that so interesting. That's where I find my passion now. How you process what I've given you to make it look like how I want it to look, but to be comfortable for you too. That's one of the greatest rewards. And there are many. But for right now, in my life at 75 years old and 50 years, that's my answer for that question.
So I'm going to follow that up with another question that says, how do you, as a Kumu Hula, choose to add your own personalization or stylization to foundational mele kahiko, which have been passed down and taught for many generations? And would you consider that a form of evolution in hula? The
person that asked that question, are they here?
Yes.
Oh, okay. because I'll skip it. But since they're here. Well, this is a long question, yeah? Yeah. Can you repeat that question again, please?
Yes. Let's see. How do you, as a Kumu Hula, choose to add your personalization or
Okay.
stylization?
Yeah, good. Stop right there. Okay, so when I was younger, I didn't care. And I think part of being young is that you're experimental. And because I had the support of Mikey, I felt like I could be experimental. Things changed. And what I learned was that there is a time to be experimental and a time not to be. I love the traditional part of it, even though sometimes it bores the shit out of me. And I love being creative. But I do believe that there is a time and a place to do it. And for myself, the boundaries that I have set is that are we doing something that is meant to be traditional? Like, is it a performance of traditional hula? Or are we doing a ho'ike? Therein, I find the difference. Are you doing a traditional performance or are you doing a ho'ike? So if you're going to do a ho'ike, bring out the kahilis. Everybody sit in the audience with kahilis and wave as we do it, because we're going to just do it. But if we're in competition, put all the kahilis away. It's just being able, in your mind, to decide where you draw the line. And for me, I always have to go back to my basics. And I hear Mikey's voice saying to me, I hear her often saying stuff like, if you think of something, and if there is the slightest doubt in your mind, don't do it. Don't do it. If it comes back again, a second time, think about it again, and don't do it. If it comes a third time, and here's what's important. If this 1, 2, and 3 come from 3 different places, 3 different people, then maybe you should think about it. And then maybe you should talk about it. But if the first 2 is just you, and you're wondering whether you should put the guys in cellophane skirts cut on a diagonal, and you hear that little voice that goes, leave it for Michael Pili Pang, then listen, trust that instinct. So that, for me, that's what I do now. So I'm so glad this is not a big audience. Because if you tell anybody this, I will deny it. We're going to marry Monarch, right? Next year is going to be my last year. After 50 years, I told Auntie Luana, I pow. She thinks I'm going to be a judge. I'll be in Paris. It's a traditional kahiko thing. So I'm watching this dance company somewhere in Europe, and they're doing these fantastic moves, and I think to myself, son of a gun, I want to do this at Mary Monarch. You know. And then the little voice inside of me goes, with the voice's name is Mike. What? So as I'm recovering from these shingles, because I'm choreographing lying on the couch, thinking how fantastic this is going to be. So because of the voice, I go back. What have I seen that they are doing over there that I can make sense of in what we do over here? How can it be, yes, far out enough, but understandable enough for it to be done by a Hawaiian? So now you'll have to watch a Mary Monarch next year in the kahiko, because there's some stuff out of the box. But you have to weigh. I need to, not you. I need to weigh, for me, the balance of how much I can create and how much I can hold on to make sure that it can still be a part, because to me, it's still important that it's grounded in Hawaii. I'm grounded in Hawaii, that it must be that. And carry that on with the guys too, and hope they'll remember that too. But that's another thing, because once you graduate people, you just never know where they're going to go, or what they'll remember, or what they'll pick up, or what they'll think is more important. And that's why we're who we are, I think. Okay, you want to do one more?
Well, just one?
Yeah. Because I'm not going to do 10.
Well, okay. How's about at least two more?
Oh, well, we'll see.
How do you balance the responsibility of preserving traditional Hawaiian hula while adapting to modern influences and the evolving needs of your students?
I have a student named Patrick Makuakane. Patrick moved to California, and then he called me one day. He said, "Hey, Kumu, can I start a little class for hula?" I'm thinking in my 1995 years time, what's a little class in hula? In San Francisco, of all places. Sure, go ahead. And then I went to his first concert, and I thought to myself, I'm going to kill the son of a bitch. But I like it. So for myself, I think I explained where I am on the question before. But when it comes to my students, once I let them go, that they hold on to what I gave them. And then what they decide to do with it after that, I say, I'll be there for you. I don't know any other way to do it. Even if I don't, I will tell them if I don't agree with it. But, I think it's something that we all have to go through and make our own decision on how we're going to do it, how we're going to accept it, how, where, and why. And again, it goes back to Mikey Ayu Lake, who says, I love you and I trust you. And that's why now when I watch Patrick, I'm amazed at what he does. I'm amazed at pretty much what they all do. That's not to say that I still don't want to choke some of their necks, because I do. And some of you who know me know which necks I'm talking about. But basically, I will support them till I die.
And the last question.
Oh, we are doing a fourth one.
We're going to do another question, which is, what advice would the Kumu of having taught 50 years to Halauna Kamale, what advice would that Kumu give the Kumu starting out Halauna Kamale?
A new student in Halauna Kamale?
No, you to you, basically.
Oh. Quit. For real, you guys, I don't know if I would do this all over again. I mean, because some of the shit that I've gone through for this, and it's nobody else's shit but mine. I did it all. And that's why in this life, I love it so much. Because, okay, I hate that song. You know the Frank Sinatra song, I Did It My Way? I freaking hate that song. But I did. I did it exactly the way I wanted. Even when people warned me, I took the chance and I did it. And because of people that loved me, and again, I don't know why, but I'm grateful, I'm able to be here today. And as much as I say to quit, I would say, I would tell myself, don't believe the hype so much. Wait a while. And that if you're really, really lucky, everything will work out kind of nicely. Okay, so before this gets to be like, I got to go eat lunch, or you got to go eat lunch, or well, first of all, I want you to know that teaching for 50 years isn't something that I thought would happen. I didn't realize that it would last this long. Even as I saw my teacher teach as long as she did, I really thought that I had more time with Mikey. And to this day, I still wish I had time with her. But I love my guys. I love my guys to a fault. But hula has changed. Hula has changed a lot. Girls, I don't know. Maybe not so much girls that dance hula. But once you get into life, partners, children, jobs. Those beginning boys that began with me stayed with me a long time. And to this day, I have maybe I could say maybe like a handful of them that are still here with me. One of them being Babu's. Bong is another one. And if I had to choose the girls that have been with me, then it would be P.E. and like Oli, Mikey. But I've been really, really fortunate. And I want you to know that choreographing ain't that easy. So I think I'm at home and I'm at home and I'm choreographing, or I'm driving and I do what I call under the dashboard hula. So here's the steering wheel, here's the dashboard, and people are all around, because we're driving. I'm driving underneath. I'm doing ola poka. I'm slapping the chair. Suddenly my hand come up like this, and I look over and I pretend like I just. But being creative, it makes this so much fun. I say, go as far out as you can, and then pull it back as much as you can. But this is what happens. I take what I think is amazing, and I'll take it to them. And then they do it, and I can tell instantly whether they think it's amazing or it's a pile of crap. And they don't do it very subtly either. It's usually, they're looking at me right now, but like if that's me over there, they'll do this. Or I'll see them look at a hula brother like, what the hell is he doing? And then I'll go, wait, let's change this. And they'll all go, oh, thank God. I'm sure that must happen in other halau too. Well, I don't know whether Sunny would accept that. But I don't know if Allah would accept it, actually. Unless it was me, maybe. But it's just the best thing when you do it. The other thing about it is, I don't know about other halaus, because the guys in my halau have been with me for so long that they're part of my family. Whether they like it or not, they all suddenly become Uluwehi Cazimeros. Not only them, their wives, the kids, everybody, if I like them. Wait. Yeah, that's right. I would have let them go by this time. That's right. Thank you, Tita. That's exactly what I was going to say. But yeah, so, as far as choreography is concerned, I give them everything that I have. And then if it's shitty, I just pull it back. The other thing is that I didn't realize, again, I'm just speaking for myself, you guys, because I can't really speak for anybody else. I didn't realize that when you become a teacher, you become a doctor, you become a psychiatrist, you become a mother, you become a father, you become an uncle, you become a goddamn Indian chief, for Pete's sake. You become whatever you have to become in order to help that haumana get through whatever they're going through at the time. Or to help you get over that haumana, making you go through what you have to go through at the time. Patience is not one of my virtues. It never has been. But I've learned that too. So basically, if you can learn the style that your teacher wants you to do, Mikey also said, if you can find one student who believes you and can do exactly what you want to do, then you're winning. I think I can safely say that in my life so far, I've won many times. And that's not ego talking. That's hard work, patience, and the help of people who love you. It wouldn't work otherwise, I'm really grateful that you came by this evening, and I'm really glad it's a bigger crowd. Because I like this kind, like more like just us guys together. If I had known, I would have said, take away half the chairs so that we can all sit together like this. But thank you all very, very much for taking the time to be here with me. Steffi? Yeah. Hold on. I know you want to ask a question. I know other people want to ask questions first, but I want to make sure how much time we have.
We're pretty much out of time, actually,
We are
because I
already
need
out of
to
time.
get you to another
Yeah.
call in between the two talks. So
Yeah.
Daniel's gonna.
Can I answer it real quickly? Go ahead. Am I going to record another album? Am I going to record? Yes. I don't know when, but I'm going to record another album because I've written some other songs. So, yeah. Okay, so thank you. Thank you, 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 thank you. Thank you, 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 thank you. Whatever kind of teacher that you are, whether it's a parent or a boss or anything, good luck, do well, find success in the smallest things, because sometimes they're the best thing. And I appreciate your time. So, Daniel?